Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons, and here in Pasadena, California, we are at the IGARSS conference, IGARSS 2023, hosted by GRSS. And here with me is Stephanie. Stephanie, can you go and give an introduction of yourself, and we'll get right into it.
Of course. So I'm Stephanie Tumampos. I come from the Philippines, but I'm currently residing in Germany, taking my PhD in mathematical modeling for remote sensing. And I'm also the head of publicity and PR of the Geoscience and Remote Sensing Society.
Well, let's get right into it. Let's see here. From your own words, can you describe who GRSS is?
That's a tough question, but I guess it's who is the community, This is a community of scientists, students, researchers, members, senior members who are dedicated to do research on remote sensing, geoscience and remote sensing, to understand our Earth, to give more solutions and enlighten ourselves with what's happening in this planet, and not just in this planet, but other planets as well, because apparently geoscience is not just about Earth, but also other planets. And it shows with our president, Mariko, who's also studying on about Mars. So we're not just on Earth, but out of this world.
Great. And as an extension of GRSS, this conference is designed to bring people together to do just that, right? Of all the knowledge accumulated from all the members?
Yes. So IGARSS is the annual premier conference of the IEEE Geoscience and Remote Sensing Society. And we've invited students, researchers from all over the world. And they're here to communicate, to tell other people, researchers, what they're doing. And this is also a chance for them to do networking and also collaboration with research. I guess that's what makes geoscience and remote sensing really unique, because it connects, because we're all connected on the Earth. The wind, when we're trying to model wind, it's wind from another place on Earth. So it's really amazing. And we're all connected here. From the atmosphere to the waters to the land, we're all connected. We're all affected by what happens on it. So this whole conference is all about connections as well.
Good. So in terms of what you've seen so far at the conference, what would you say your highlights are? Interesting stories or narratives or even technology that had stood out for you?
So first is that what's the biggest highlight is that this is the biggest ever in-person attendance of IGARSS. We have
how many people?
Over 2,700 registrations. So we have that right now, and it's amazing because it's after a pandemic, and we're happy to see everyone. Another highlight is how we had this plenary yesterday. We had, of course, Dr. Laurie Leshin, who is the first woman JPL director. So she gave a short talk about what JPL is doing, in terms of satellite missions and the projects and programs they have at NASA JPL. We also had some panel discussions today. Like today, we had this unconscious bias panel discussion, which talks about how each one of us has an unconscious bias that automatically, kind of translates to, could be discrimination or stereotyping, and we have to really be mindful of that. There's no other way to actually mend or fix this, but to just, do this again, like a bootstrapping. You have to be mindful of what you're saying or what you're thinking, so that you get away with this unconscious bias and make this whole community more inclusive and diverse, because we want to welcome all people from all around the world in all ages, career stages, everyone, gender.
So part of this conference isn't just about sharing technology and knowledge, but also how to better communicate with each other. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. So we want people to also voice out their concerns. Why is it for the longest time that most scientific communities are male dominated? Why aren't women here? So, there are, but it's still, we still need to improve that number. So we want to tackle these issues because we want to know how we can make this society even better. Women are so important in scientific research because they bring in fresh perspectives. I mean, how could you even talk about improving healthcare if women aren't there? They're part of society. And for Geoscience and Remote Sensing Society, everyone, what we're talking about here, what we're doing research for, everyone is affected by it. So why not include women, right?
And so part of this panel seems like a good progress in that direction, correct? Do you feel like this conference specifically is you're seeing a lot of growth in that area?
I see a lot of young women, young people, not just women, but I see a lot of young people, and we're very proud of that. So IEEE elect President Tom Coughlin came yesterday and talked to me, and he was so happy to see a lot of young people coming in this conference. It's something that he said was really amazing to see, because most of the time, conferences can be more of senior researchers coming in together,
Well, I think he gave a really interesting demographic yesterday, that the average age, I believe he said, of the membership for GRSS is around 55, which kind of highlights the bigger problem right there, right? It's not just about gender bias. It's about instilling how do you promote and bring forth more blood into the mix, encourage young people with ideas that come forth and, bring that knowledge into the fold, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think Geoscience and Remote Sensing Society is really, really working hard to make this community really inviting more young people, because, of course, they're the ones who are going to continue with the research that we are doing today, and they have fresher ideas too. We have to acknowledge that their ideas could be more innovative too. And they can learn from other people as well. This is a perfect place to network, to collaborate to other universities, to other laboratories. And young people have to do that too, as early as in their careers.
Excellent. Well, is there any other last minute things you'd like to say about the organization as a whole, or even beyond the panels that you just highlighted, specific technologies you're like, oh, that's really awesome, we're starting to go that direction with progress?
I think one of the things that I saw at this conference is that there's so much potential in remote sensing. Remote sensing, I wouldn't say it's already an old science. I think it's still a new science. We've only delved with machine learning like 20, 30 years ago, but it only escalated like 10 years ago for remote sensing. We still have a lot of potential to improve our remote sensing methods and how we capture data, or how we collect data. We have such amazing satellite systems right now that are collecting at 10-meter resolutions. How can we get more? How can we also, aside from collecting data, how can we manage our data? Because every single day we have petabytes of data, right? And we have to improve that kind of technology. And I think that's one of the things that we are talking right now. And that's where actually a lot of the technical committees in the Geoscience and Remote Sensing Society are doing. So there is a committee talking about high performance computing and how data can be handled. So this is really important, because we always think that we need some open data, but we also need open infrastructure, right? How can we use data if we don't have the proper infrastructure? We have big data. We're talking about big data, but we don't have that infrastructure to actually handle the data. So those technologies are already being discussed here. And it would be really nice, if our audiences can actually contact us, and if they're interested, they can send us an email through our email. I think it was info@IEEE-GRSS.org, and send us a message if they're interested to know more. Because, for example, around if we're going to talk about frequencies of satellites where they can send more data and stuff, that's part of what we do. So there's so much more than just collecting data. It's about handling data. And of course, one more thing. I think this one, sorry. I think I have to highlight this one, because how do we make data more open as well for other people? What I mean is that we have to know data stewardship, who can own the data. And in terms of inclusivity, we're also promoting, at least step by step, to include the indigenous people in this area. Because sometimes when we get data from space, we also need the ground truth. And sometimes it can be in these areas that we need the ground truth, and we need their help to make sure that our science is truthful and it can be used by these people who need it the most. So yeah.
Well, two final questions for you. They overlap. So in next year, for the next year's event, who would you say, who would you encourage to come to this in terms of what industries, what types of groups and organizations, especially for those who are now just being introduced to the topic of GRSS and IGARSS?
I'd like to really invite the young people as well. What I mean by young is the high school students. If they can be invited to the conference next year, just to, look around if they see the options of coming to study geoscience and remote sensing in their undergraduate degree, and also people from the industry. I think we have to have this connection with the industry because there's so much more potential that can be developed if we have more collaborations with the industry. Not I'm saying that the research and academia is not doing anything. We're all doing really good stuff, and we can make things even better if we're doing things together, And, there's so many amazing, intelligent people as well in the industry that we just need to connect with them. Lastly, I think we need to also include indigenous people. I really strongly feel about them because for the longest time, they have been collected with, scientists go to their places to collect data, but in the end of their research, they're left behind. I want them to be here. I want them to talk about what their science also, their indigenous science speaks about, and how we can make a connection between our science to their science and see if we can make things even better also for their end, because they're the ones who also need it the most, So.
And my last question, when I did say it overlaps, is come to IGARSS, why?
Come to IGARSS because you're very welcome here to learn, to communicate with us, to talk to us. And we would also love to learn from you what you're thinking about, because maybe your thoughts are what we all we need to actually improve the methods and technology that we have today.
Excellent. Well, Stephanie, I want to thank you for joining me and talking about your insights, your experience with the organization, and letting us know a little bit about GRSS and the conference as a whole. So I'm Adam Simmons of Project Geospatial. We'll talk to everybody next time.